Good morning. How's everybody doing today? MYM Insiders. This is Rich Harshaw, and we're here today for the Innovation Hour call. We're going to talk about an innovation starter that I simply call Captain Obvious. And this is a fairly easy to understand innovation starter, and it sort of is a combination of some of the other innovation starters that we've done in the past. But I think it's worthwhile to pull this out and look at it as a standalone innovation starter because it has the ability, which is the purpose of the innovation starters in the first place, to cause you to think about your business in a way that will allow you to get more ideas to innovate your business. And that's ultimately what this is all about. Innovation in and of itself really doesn't mean anything. It's all about finding things that you can do better and different, more effective in your business so that your prospects and customers look at your business and draw the conclusion, hey, this is a good company I want to do business with. A lot of times people come to me and say, write an ad. And the reality is if you don't have something good to say, it's very difficult to write an ad that's going to make much of a difference. So obviously we always start with innovation, and the innovation starters are there simply to give us ideas and thoughts and a direct line of thinking to find innovations for your business, okay? So that being said, let's look at Captain Obvious, today's innovation starter. Captain Obvious, really simply put, this is a good innovation starter for companies that already have an idea of what their brand promise is. And it, simply put, is looking for ways to make your brand promise so obvious that it's impossible to miss. And you say to yourself, well, this is kind of an obvious thing to do, Captain Obvious. And the reality is it's not. Most companies don't do this. I've consulted with tons of companies over the years that did things that were extraordinarily well done. They were innovative. And number one, they didn't communicate it powerfully to the marketplace, so that's a problem. But also, they stopped, and instead of taking that thing that they do well and expanding the philosophy and the format and the idea to other areas and to an all-encompassing brand promise with their company, they just sort of did some things pretty good. And then, again, you've got two issues here. Do you communicate it powerfully? And second of all, do you have other things, multiple things that support the idea? And this is about taking a brand promise that typically is going to be just lip service and quantifying it and presenting evidence, but not just presenting evidence, presenting an overwhelming amount of evidence so that anybody that has any kind of passing observation of your company says, it's real obvious, here's what these guys do. Here's why people buy from them. Here's why you'd want to do business with them. And more specifically, if they happen to be a prospect, they would say, this is why I want to do business with them, and you make it obvious, okay? So that being said, let's go ahead and look at a familiar example, and I'm going to show you a couple of familiar examples, and there's two reasons I'm going to do this. Number one, if you followed these calls over the last 2 years, you have seen some of these things, and it's a good opportunity for you to review some of the innovations that came up in other Innovation Hour calls. But also, if you haven't been on those calls or had a chance to go back and listen to those, excuse me, then it's a good opportunity for you to interface with these concepts and ideas for the first time. So whether this is by way of review or this is by way of first time of seeing some of these things, either way it's going to be worthwhile and useful for you. So let's start with the bank. Again, we've had an entire call on innovating the bank, and I actually use this example on the new 5 biggest marketing mistakes, audio, CD, and companion volume, as an innovation example, because I do go through innovation in quite a bit of detail on that CD. And as I got to looking at this, this is really where the genesis for this starter called Captain Obvious came, because as I was looking at that set of ads, and we're going to look at it here in just a second on this call, I looked at it and thought, you'd have to be some kind of ignorant fool to not understand what the brand promise was of this bank. And it really is as simple as saying to yourself, here's what we're all about. Now, let's come up with as many ideas as possible that we can implement that supports this idea. And the idea for the bank was that they are the friendly, community-centered bank. You may remember this. And we've talked about lots of banks' attempts to take this approach of being the community-friendly, community-centered bank. And here's some examples. We've got the Ready to Help You and the Missoula people. We're right here, right now, and there's a map. Wow. What are the chances that that map indicates that that place is right here real close to me, right here, right now, more close than other banks? I don't know. Our home is your home, and all these different kind of dumb ads that really don't do anything other than attempt in a platitudinal, non-defensible, non-evidence-supported way to say, here's what we do. And so in this call, I took and said, what if we found different ways to not just say that we're community-centered and friendly, but to actually put it out there so it was obvious. And that's when we came up with these ads. And this is an interesting case study because you actually can see these ads right here on the screen. Children hate to leave our bank. Do you chain your pens down when your friends come over? We donated $73,000 to charity. Bring your coin jar in and we'll convert it to cash for free. We'll tell you before you bounce a check, not after. Question, why don't banks have bathrooms? And as these ads are circulated through the newspaper, because that was the medium for this particular bank, also could easily be translated into radio or television ads. They could easily be put into online advertising and so forth. Not a problem there. But as these things start going out into the marketplace, and as repetition starts to do its work, and we start to have an effect of this principle called accelerated discontentment, where my continually pounding the marketplace communicates this brand promise to them, and in this case, what? Community-centered, friendly. I never once have to say we're the community-centered, friendly bank. I could say that. It wouldn't be wrong to say that, but I don't have to say it because it becomes obvious thanks to, again, Captain Obvious.
On your screen here, we've got the ads that I've shown you. I think I've got more here. Yeah, here they are. Free treats for kids, moms, dads, teenagers, pets, and grandparents. Use our copier for free, up to 100 copies at a time. Meet the Tooth Fairy this Thursday afternoon. Free flags. Now you have no excuse for not proudly displaying the colors. Second annual local art and photography show this Friday and Saturday. We have 200 tickets for this week's Hillers game, Hillers being the local high school football team. And here's what I'm asking you to do, and I'm suggesting that you do. You look at your identity and you look at it and say, what kinds of things can we do to make it absolutely positively obvious that we are what we say we are, that we do what we say we do, and that you can get the expectations filled that we've set for you, okay? And in this case, I want you to imagine this newspaper running this ad every single day, maybe 2 ads in different sections of the paper, local newspaper, maybe the paper only comes out twice a week or once a week, whatever it is. But you run these ads over and over and over again and 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 again. And again, here's one thing you need to know about advertising. Advertising, first and foremost, is a nurturing function. It's a nurturing type of a scenario where we're trying to get people to understand over time who we are, how we're different, why we're better, what they can expect when they're doing business with us. It is not necessarily meant to drive a lead in right now, right today. If it does, and it can, and it will, in fact, that's good. That's called gravy. That's called icing on the cake. But the cake is not the leads that come in today. The cake is the leads that come in next month and next year and the year after. And when people see these ads and they see that they've got copiers that can be used and they see that the Tooth Fairy is going to come teach your kid about tooth stuff and that they're going to give free flags out. And you see, you take, and from your marketing budget, you pay for all this stuff. And you look at yourself and you say, well, if we're really a community-centered bank and we're really a friendly bank and we really want people to be involved, then wouldn't it be necessary that we build our bank to have an area that we could do things like art shows and Tooth Fairy presentations and copiers and have people come in to take seminars on how to buy a car and whatever other things make sense for the bank to do? And you start to have a Facebook presence and you start to put these things out there on social media and people start to follow you because it's fun to follow you and because they can't wait to see what's next, and maybe they're not interested in the Tooth Fairy because they don't have small children, but they think it was cute and they thought it was really thoughtful of you to have something like that, and they know that it fits perfectly within the identity that you forged because they know that they can get free lollipops, and they can come down there and use your copy machine, and that, hey, if they stop in on the right day, there's going to be donuts or cookies, and they can come see the high school art show or the local artist art show, or there's going to be a choir performing, or there's going to be a Christmas concert, or you're going to be able to get a flag, and after a while they look at it and they say, I got it, I get it, I totally understand. You don't just say you're a community-centered bank, you freaking are a community-centered bank, because there's no, if you're just faking it, you're doing a really good job, okay? That's kind of where we come to with this identity. And that's what I want people to think about your business. Not that you're a community-centered bank, but that whatever you are, that you actually do it and you make it obvious. Now, here's the key. You got to have an identity, because if you don't have an identity, then none of this stuff is easy for people to see. You can't prove something that they don't even know what you're trying to prove. We're a company that exists. Well, what does that even mean? I'm going to show you a website. I didn't intend to do this. One of the companies that we work with may be on this call today. Let me just do a quick check. Let me see who's on this call today. No, I don't see him on the call today. Yeah, maybe you know this company. I'm going to put them on the screen here for just a second. It's Energy Swing Windows, okay? And here they come over onto your screen. Energy Swing Windows. One of the things these people told me was that their website's not loading properly. My internet connection's not doing all that great today. Anyway, assume this looks normal, because it normally does. This is my internet connection. But here's the point. This company came to me and said, we do such a good job that people love us. Okay, great. What does that mean? Well, we do a good job. Well, what do you mean? Well, everyone loves us. Okay, I got that. How do you prove that? Well, we got lots of survey cards filled out, and people tell us that they love us. Really, what do they say? Well, they say that they love us. Okay, well, what else? And then he said this. He says, we ask a question on every comment card. Among other things, they ask this question towards the end of the comment card. Do you feel like you got, and then they have to choose one of the following: more value than you paid for, the same value that you paid for, or less value than you paid for? And he said, we almost always get people saying that they got more value. Sometimes they say they got equal value, but we've never had anyone say that they got less value. I said, great, let's put together a satisfaction tracker. Since 1996, updated every Friday. Here's the number of window jobs we've done. Here's the number of windows we've installed. Here's the number of other projects we've done. Here's the number of clients who say they've got more value than they paid for, 1,778 at 71.1%. Clients who say they got equal value to what they paid for, 28.9%. Clients who say they got less than what they paid for, 0. And that should, underneath it, have 0.0%. They need to fix that. BBB complaints, 0. Number of referred jobs, 1,853. Prestigious awards, 1. And if you click on this stuff, it'll take you to various parts of their website. It'll take you to their awards that they've won. If you go over here and you click on the one about 1,778, our customers don't just like us, they're flag-waving fanatics who sing our praises. And it talks about this stuff. Does that make sense? This is called making it obvious. Take what you do and find ways to illustrate it, to prove it, to show it, and to let people see and make it obvious. Not just that you say stuff, but that you actually do stuff. This is called Captain Obvious, okay? Here's just a few more ads. Yeah, you get the idea. I don't need to go through this in minute detail, but I'll go through it in a little bit of detail so that you can understand, okay? All right, so Randy McKean, I see that you're on the call. You have been or currently are the electrician that caters to women. So how can you prove that? One of the things that I recommended you do is support women's charities. Remember that? And I know that you're sort of shifting and you want to become the surfing electrician, and there's some things that you could do with that. But just to give you an example, we want to make it obvious. We want to innovate things that can show and prove our case and our identity. Okay. So let's move on to the next one, which is the world's greatest car salesman. Okay. So if you wanted to prove that you were the world's greatest car salesman, what kinds of things could you do? Well, here's our friend Muhammad Ali from the 60s maybe. To be a great champion, you must believe you are the best. Well, let's show what we do to prove that we're the best. Well, first of all, what if you wanted to be the world's greatest car salesman, would you research all the models before deciding which one to sell? You don't go sell a car because they have a job opening. You go sell the car because it's the car that you believe the most in. Build a case for the car that you're selling using third-party reviews, your own customer reviews, and comparisons of all the relevant issues. Now, think about this. You're going to tell people that you're the world's greatest car salesman, and when they come in, you've got to be able to show them proof. Well, I'm the only salesman that has researched this out. Here's all the evidence. Let me show it to you. Create reports, printed, online. Have signage that promotes the reports. Promote it in all your advertising efforts. Thinking about buying a mid-sized sedan. Thinking about Camry or Accord or Malibu or Volkswagen or BMW 3 Series. Well, here's all the evidence put into a report. Purchase top-of-the-line version of the car that you're selling, fully loaded, so that people can look at it and you can tell them. I don't just tell people this is the car they should drive. I drive this car. I would not imagine driving any other car. You know, I remember when my oldest son, he's 21 almost now, when he was about 13 or something, he was struggling with ADD. If you've ever dealt with that problem before. Gosh, this was more than that. Maybe it was when he was 10. And we took him to a doctor, and the doctor said, look, there's a lot of doctors out there that deal with ADD, and some of them are good and some of them are not that good, but I'm going to tell you something. I've had 2 sons that have had ADD, and I know the challenges, and I know what kind of frustrations it leads to, and I know how it bothers them in school and creates problems, and I know how it creates problems at home and with their siblings. I've seen it. I've lived it. And I'm telling you, I've tried lots of different things. We've tried all the different therapies, and we've tried the different alternative education, and we've tried lots of different medications. And I want you to know, based on my own personal experience with my own 2 boys, here's what I found that works. And I went, oh, he's an expert. Okay? And I'm asking you, as the world's greatest car salesman, to just know, based on experience, and to make the actions make it obvious. Purchase competing models for customers to test, drive, and compare. Now, think about this for a minute. I want you to think how powerful this is. If you said you were the world's greatest car salesman, and let's say that you sold Camrys and you were competing primarily against Accords and Malibus, there are probably others, but let's say those were your top competitors, and you knew this by surveying people that they had, when they didn't buy a Camry, they bought one of those other models. So you went out and you buy those other models, and you buy them on your own nickel. Now, you don't have to necessarily buy brand new, maybe slightly used. You don't have to buy the top-of-the-line model because you want to compare top-of-the-line versus middle of the line, but buy those cars. Park them at a third-party place. Say, here, I own these cars. I bought them specifically to show you the differences. I bought them specifically to show you why you should not drive them. And then you take them in their test drive of the car that you want them to buy over to the place where you have the cars you don't want them to buy. Think about this for a minute. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Tell people what kind of tactics the car lots takes, how they try to rip you off, show them the prices, give them transparency, make it believable, send them emails, get a hopper system educating people about different cars and different things, send out personalized emails to contacts by their interests. So find out from people, what are you interested in? I'm interested in basketball. I'm interested in lacrosse. I'm interested in opera. I'm interested in, Gateway Church, whatever it is. And then send people information by interest so you can do a filter. Everybody that's interested in music is going to get this email that I'm going to send out about a concert that is coming up locally at the bank maybe, okay, or special occasions. Solicit and then publish and post customer feedback. It's so critical for any kind of company. Create a club, free offers, discounted offers. When you buy a car from me, you become a member of the World's Greatest Car Salesman Club. It's going to include 2 free car washes per year, free oil changes. It's going to include upgrades on car audio. It's going to include donuts down at the local donut shop. It's going to include a certain type of checking account that normally costs money down at the community bank. It's going to include X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. And you put all this together. And you say, look, when you buy a car from me, you get all this stuff. It's free. You put those joint ventures together. It takes time. It's hard. But you know what? People look at that and go, crap, man, there really is a benefit to buying from this guy. He's not just another clown selling me a car. People won't put this much effort into stuff. They just won't. But it could work. Host a radio show. Become the expert. Post those things on your website, World's Greatest Car Salesman website. Make sure that there's links. Make sure that social media is pushing those things out to people. Make sure people know. Become Mr. Giveaway. Gift cards, sports, concerts, movies. Send email offering things. Text. Social media. Once a year, what's the word? Coupe de Gras? I don't know. The Coupe de Ville. That's a Cadillac. I don't know what you call it. The free car giveaway. Once a year, you give away a car for free, and you tell people this. Look, when you buy a car from me, I want you to know this. I sell about 40 cars a month. That's almost 500 cars a year. But every year, I am going to give one of my customers' cars away for free. Here's how it works. Every fall, when it's back to school, so that people are in town, in the second week of September, I hold a huge customer appreciation barbecue. I want you to come. It's going to be catered by the feed store. It's going to be fantastic. If nothing else, you're going to get free food. There's going to be a band. There's going to be giveaways. I'm going to be giving away Mavericks tickets, Stars tickets, rodeo tickets, and all kinds of other things at this event. It's a big deal. I want you to come out to it. But I'm also going to be giving away a free car. Now, what I mean is this. Everybody that's bought a car from me in the last 12 months will be eligible for the drawing. You have to be present to win, but if you come out to this event, I'm going to draw a name out of the hat, and whoever's name I draw out of the hat, I am going to take over the payments for your car, and you will not have a car, or I'm going to pay your car off, whatever it is. I'm going to pay your car off, and we're going to have a big whoop-de-doo about it. Well, I don't know. Are you more interested in buying a car from that guy than you are somebody else? Think about it. If you sell 500 cars a year, can you afford that? 500 cars a year? How much money are you making if you're selling 500 cars a year? What if you made $1,000 per car? That's $500,000 per year. Can you afford to buy somebody's $22,000 car? The answer is you probably can. Maybe you stipulate up to $25,000, whatever. I don't know. Maybe you just buy them a whole separate another car and you just give it to them. Do whatever you want. Make it dramatic. Make it cool. Get the news media out. Make it obvious that you're the world's greatest car salesman. Do you see how this works? Publicity for everything you do. Clean, friendly snacks. Have a refrigerator in your cubicle. A wall of fame of all your customers. I mean, I'm telling you, if I suddenly became unable to do what I do by law, I was ruled by a judge, you can't be a marketing consultant anymore and a trainer. You have to go do something else. I'd go get a job selling cars. And I'd make a freaking fortune. It's a great business to be in, and all the guys that are in the car business know it's a great business to be in because here's what they know. They know that there's always going to be a steady stream of people buying cars. Even in the recession, car sales were down. Didn't matter. They weathered the storm. People come back, buy more cars later. I mean, it's just a great business to be in. The problem is they're all a bunch of slime buckets, and they're all a bunch of loafers and lazy people that don't try hard. They just let the momentum of the marketplace bring them customers. And I'm telling you, if you did this kind of stuff and you promoted this and you spent all those hundreds of thousands of dollars that all these stupid car dealerships spend on all this stupid advertising that doesn't do freaking anything except for piss people off because it's annoying. And they said, look, one of our customers is going to get their car for free every year. Hey, we've got reports. If you're trying to figure out what the best car is, come on down. We've got we'll give it to you. We'll send it to you. Go to this website. All of these things we talked about, you put that into your advertising. After a while, people would say, wow, who knew? Yeah, come on down. When you meet with us, we've got full snacks and drinks laid out for you. Hey, if you want to go sit in somebody else's showroom and get hammer dunked and get, bowled over, go for it. So easy. It's so easy if somebody would just do it. Okay? Let's talk about a chiropractor. I'm the fastest and most effective chiropractor. The slow chiropractor, most chiropractors see 2 to 4 patients an hour. Patient spends 15 to 50 minutes in total visiting the chiropractor, 5 to 15 minutes in the waiting room, waiting in the exam room another 5 to 15 minutes. Treatment time is 2 to 10 minutes. The paperwork and the checkout is 3 to 10 minutes. Average visit's about 35 minutes. The Speedy Chiropractor, Dr. Brad Fowler in Albuquerque, New Mexico, he sees up to 60 patients an hour, 1 per minute. Think about it. The entire office is computerized. Every patient uses a key fob. They wave it over a scanner when they check in. The computer greets you, not a human. If the patient's early or late, the computer adjusts the schedule to accommodate that person. The patient sits in the hot seat for 0 to 6 minutes. This is where they sit when they're ready to go in for their treatment. Okay? This is what it looks like, just very quickly. Just a regular office, no big deal. Then Dr. Brad has 2 adjusting stations. While he's adjusting one patient, the computer calls the patient to go sit in the other station. The patient swipes his key fob again at the station. The patient's records, x-rays, charts, everything comes up on the computer screen. Then Dr. Brad walks over from the other treatment room, looks at the charts, makes the adjustment on the patient based on the information that's already plainly in front of his face. The actual adjustment only takes a few seconds. It's the same adjustment every time. It's not based on pain like other chiropractors. Where does your back hurt? Let's adjust it. He knows where to adjust based on the history of the patient. The patient waves his key fob again, tells the computer that the adjustment's complete. The computer calls the next patient in. The guy leaves, doesn't need to check out. Dr. Brad goes to the other station, repeats the process. He can literally do 60 in an hour. 60. Okay? This reminded me of this old commercial. Remember this? Let me show it to you.
Okay, Eunice, travel plans. I need to be in New York on Monday, LA on Tuesday, New York on Wednesday, LA on Thursday, New York on Friday. Got it? Got it. So you want to work here? What really makes you think you deserve a job? Well, sir, I think I'm good at figures and I have a sharp mind. Excellent. Can you start on Monday? Yes, sir, absolutely. Without hesitation. Congratulations. Welcome aboard. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Any conclusions, Jim? Build our call, right? Low torque, business is business. And as we all know, in order to get something done, you got to do something. In order to do something, you got to get to work. So let's get to work. Make it immediately. Petey did a bang up job of putting you in charge of Pittsburgh. It's true, sir. I know it's perfect, Peter. That's why I take Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's perfect, Peter. May I call you Pete? Call me Pete.
Isn't Mr. Schindler here to see you?
Hold on, wait 15 seconds.
Can you wait 15 seconds?
I'll wait 15 seconds. Congratulations on your deal in Denver, Dave. I'm putting you down to deal with Dallas. Down to the deal, so we have a deal. It's a deal. I got to go. I got a call coming in. Hi, Doc. Just double time.
In this fast-moving, high-pressure, get-it-done-yesterday world, aren't you glad there's one company that can keep up with it all?
You got a deal. Good. I'm putting you down to deal with Dick. Dick, what's the deal with the deal? Are we dealing? We're dealing. David's the deal with Don, Doc, Dick. Doc is the deal with Dave, Dick, and Dave. Don, it's the Doc with Dick, Dave, and Dick. Gotta go, Dave. Disconnecting. Gotta go, Dick. Disconnecting. Gotta go, Dan. Disconnecting.
Federal Express. But it absolutely, positively has to be there overnight.
I love that commercial when I was a kid, when it was new in the 80s. I love that commercial now because it makes it obvious, Captain Obvious. I'm just wondering if the chiropractor could make a commercial that's similar in nature to that. Okay. All right. Let's talk about advertising sales for a minute. This would be a company that sells advertising, newspaper, radio, magazine, what have you. Well, what if their identity was, we really care about your advertising results? Not just we want to sell you advertising, but we care about your results. Well, what if they became the fountain from whence all knowledge about advertising flowed? They sent out weekly emails with marketing advice, advertising advice, helping people understand how to do advertising and marketing. Monthly webinars on a variety of advertising topics, all archived online, monthly audio CDs that they could distribute to their folks. They send out a couple times a week newsletters in the mail so that they get them hard copy, letting people know, putting it in their face, we're here to help you make your advertising work better. Put together a library of good ads that people can work from, and then walk into people's office and hand them a red phone. It's called the Bat Phone. Let them know that you are on standby to help them with webinars, seminars, advertising hotline. Call this number. Pick up this phone. It goes directly to somebody that will help you with your advertising. Ad review service for any ads to be placed in any media. Ad writing services for a small fee or for free. Result guarantees based on ad performance in their medium. What if they did these things? Would it make it obvious that they were genuinely concerned about your success with your advertising? See, here's the problem. Most advertising is very selfish. It's based on, I want you to do something so that it benefits me. What I'm asking you to do is turn it around. This is what identity is about. Here's what you can expect. Here's how we're different. Here's the benefit to you. And when you make it obvious, people look at that and say, wow, this looks really great. For the bank, I would love to get a flag and go to see the Tooth Fairy and make copies and have free treats. These are things that are good and relevant to me, right? What's the tack most banks say? Here's what we do, here's how we're different, and it's very superficial, it's very platitude-based, okay? If somebody wants to sell advertising, what are they normally coming in and saying? Hey, buy some advertising from me. And then they try to turn it around and say, well, because it'll make you money. But we know it's a thinly veiled attempt to get my money so that you, the advertising seller, can make money. And I'm just suggesting that you put a little more thought into what the freaking person wants and then talk about that, okay? That's it. I mean, it's really not that hard. Captain Obvious. This is a garage door repair company. We want people to know that we've got the best technicians in the world. So let's put photos of them on the website. Let's tell when their background check and drug tests were taken. Let's allow you to click on them and see a bio. He was born and raised in Bergen County. That's the local county there, by the way. Graduated from Wesleyan University in Middleton, Connecticut with a degree in economics. His spare time, he likes to play sports, work out, and fish. Tells his ID number, how many reviews he has, his number of stars, his drug test, his background check, and it's all right there. And then you can read all of his reviews. This is how we prove we've got the best technicians. We have his background check and drug test that you can actually see if you click on them. The critical information like Social Security number and various addresses and personal information, date of birth, this stuff is all blocked out so people can't see it. Obviously, that's personal information. It's not relevant for somebody to know. But here's what is relevant. Did you pass a drug test? Can you prove it? Here it is. Let me show it to you. And then you can read their comments and their reviews. What I'm asking you to do is ask yourself this question. What could we do to prove that what we're saying is true? What could we do to prove that what we're saying is true? And in this case, it's profile the technicians, show their background information, show their drug test and background checks, show their personal profile, show their reviews. Guess what most garage door repair companies do to prove that they've got the best technicians? They just freaking say, we've got the best technicians, and they leave it at that. They don't do anything to prove it. I'm asking you to make it obvious. What if they had a certification program? Explain what it means in detail. Have the techs show their credentials when they enter the home. Here's my drug test. Here's my background. Here's my identification badge. Here's my certification test. Just want you to know that you can trust me. Name tags, nicely dressed, clean trucks, all pointing to what? We do things the right way. We're the best technicians. Okay. I'm just kind of going rapid fire now so that we can get through some of these. What about a retirement home? I want people to know that Mom's in good hands at our retirement home. Well, how could we make that obvious? What if we had doctors on site, routine checkup once per week, detailed checkups monthly? Again, all of this stems from the question, what could we do to make it obvious that we deliver on our promise? Well, if we want you to believe that your elderly mother is going to be in good hands, if we had a doctor on site, that would help. If we had routine checkups once per week for your mother, that would help. If we had a detailed checkup once per month, that would help. And if the results were automatically emailed, of course, with the elderly parent's permission, I know that there's privacy and all those kinds of things, but that's easily worked around. And those results were automatically emailed to you, so you didn't have to wonder and think and wait for 90-year-old mother to email you something like that's ever going to happen. You just get a little email. Hey, just want you to know that we did your mom's weekly checkup, and here's the results. Blood pressure, good. You know, this good, this good, this good. This, you know, needs to be watched. This needs to be watched. These are things that are problem areas. Whatever. Here's our recommendation. We're going to put her on a different diet. Whatever. People look at that and they go, wow, that's fantastic. Whoever heard of an old folks home that actually does checkups and emails the results automatically to the loved ones? Answer, nobody, because they don't do it. All seniors wear infrared tracking devices, so their whereabouts are known precisely at all times. Map of buildings shows location 24/7. Now, what I'm talking about is a technology that if we take the emergency call button that the seniors wear and we also put on it an infrared chip, it'll allow us to track the whereabouts of that patient. Now, this may or may not be appropriate for all tenants of this retirement community, but if it's something that you, as the children, adult children of the elderly person, consented to and the elderly person consented to it, you could actually keep a look on a computer screen of where your patient was. Are they in their room? Are they at the dining hall? Are they off campus somewhere? And it also gives you peace of mind if there was an Alzheimer's patient, for instance, who might be prone to wandering off the premises, that there would be an alert that allows us to know if this person has left the monitored area. Okay? What about webcams in all the common areas, the lunchroom, the front rooms? Of course not in the private areas. That doesn't make sense. But in areas where you, as a parent, can see online what's going on. And you can check in and you can say, you know what, I'm sitting in Cleveland, Ohio, and my mother's in California, where my family's from, and where my brothers and sisters still live. But I'm in Cleveland, and I can't make it out there very often to see Mom. But I can check in during lunchtime, and I can actually set my phone with an app to give me an alert when my mom is in the lunchroom, and it pushes me a notice, and I can just click on my phone, and I can look, and I can see my mom eating lunch. You say, well, who cares about that? Well, I don't know. Maybe people care about something like that. And even if they don't watch that often, they might watch occasionally, and they might be grateful to know that it's available, so that they do want to take a second and look, they can. Okay? See how that works? Ongoing activities with email report of attendance and participation. You know, we had a mixer last night. We have a pinochle game. We have, you know, a choir that comes out and whatever. Reporting of food and diet, pill consumptions to people, webcam chatting. Obviously, people that are, you know, senior citizens, 80, 90 years old, they may not be that great at webcam chatting. What if they set it up at the old folks' home where they had an area where they had a computer and they had a big screen so that they could see you on your computer and iPad or your phone, and they could see it on a bigger screen so that it was, you know, not as weird because it's on a TV, and maybe they're still a little bit befuddled by how this, you know, cotton picking technology works and all that stuff, but at least they could see it. I'm asking you to do this. If you own the old folks' home, I'm simply asking you, how can you make it obvious that you really care about these people and want to make it a good stay for their adult senior parents? How can you make that obvious? It's all about the communication, okay? Now, we could do this. If you want to participate, why don't you raise your hand or participate via question on the console, if anybody would like to participate, and let's talk about your industry. I got a few minutes. Let's do it. Anyone? All you got to do is either raise your hand. There's a little dealy bobber where you can click a little hand that goes up, or you can type in a question to the question thing. So do it. Let's talk about you. Either way is fine. Okay. Gina says tubular skylights. All right. Gina, are you open to talking about it on the phone with me? Because I can unmute your line if you are. Okay. Are you there, Gina?
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, tubular skylights. These are the ones where the skylight's at a certain location and then it sort of reflects the sun through a tube to a certain place, right?
Yep, it's like a skylight without the problems of a skylight, is how I say it.
Oh, all right. So what do you want to be obvious about your company? What's your identity? What do you want people to know? That's where we always start.
We offer professional installation.
Okay, what else? Just kind of talking through it here. I'm not saying it's good, bad, right, or wrong. Just kind of talking it up.
I always, like when my elevator speech, so to speak, is that my job, what they say, what do I do? It's a job to make your day bright. We're the leader in the industry, but you know that doesn't really make any difference to most people.
Now, have you worked with us before on an identity?
No.
Okay, well, we might want to do that, but let's just start here. Professional installation, make my day bright. So let me ask you this. If I was a prospective customer, right, and what market are you in?
Madison, Wisconsin.
You're in Madison. Okay, great. You're in Madison, Wisconsin, and I was in your market, and I said, hey, I'm looking at buying from you, but I'll be real honest with you. I've also got 2 other companies that I'm looking at, and all 3 of you seem like a pretty good deal and pretty good value and pretty good people.
Mm-hmm.
So let me know, give me your best reason why I should buy from you. Price really isn't that important to me. I want to make sure that it's a good experience. I want to make sure I get good products. You know, price is obviously part of the equation, but tell me why I should buy from you. Go.
Okay. Number 1 reason, I've been doing this for about 15 years. I know what I'm doing. And number 2 reason is that we are guaranteed to be the brightest in the industry. So we're 99.7% spectral reflectance. What the heck does that mean? That means that each time the light comes in the solar tube and it bounces, we absorb only 0.3%, where our best competitor is at 98%. Each time the light bounces, they are absorbed 2% of the time. But after, let's just say, 20 bounces, we're still way up in the 90s, and they're down in the 60s.
Okay. Now, if I'm talking to 2 of your common competitors, and when I say common, I mean ones that you come up against frequently, okay?
Yep.
is that discussion that you just gave me true? Is it pretty likely that the other two I'm talking to probably fit into that other category?
Yes.
Okay, good. So help me understand that a little bit. You're the brightest in the industry, and you said that by the time the light gets from point A to point Z, it's still 90 what?
94.7%.
94.7%, and your competitors are what?
Around 64.
64%.
Yeah, the math might not be exact, but it's pretty close.
Well, I want to know exactly to what decimal bright they are. Okay, 64%. Okay, so how can we make this obvious?
Well, I have a nice graphic that I use, but it kind of just shows it. 3 different tubular skylights and their reflectivity, and after 20 bounces, it has this amount of light.
How many bounces are there normally?
It depends on the length of the tube. 20 is probably a good 4-foot long tube.
So 20 is pretty typical or not typical?
It's pretty typical.
Okay.
But some could be way longer. So.
What would be, not the longest ever, but what would be considered, pretty long?
10 feet or above.
And how many bounces?
I would say 40.
Okay, and on 40 bounces, how do you stack up? What's your percent?
I don't know the math off the top of my head, but that's just half what we just said.
So it goes down to 50%?
Yeah.
Or does it go from 100, which is full light, to 95, which is 10 bounces, to 90, which is 20 bounces? How does it work?
I don't know. I don't know exactly the answer to that question. I can figure it out if I had math, but I don't have math in my head.
Okay. Well, I'm just interested to know because I'm just wondering, if it still stacks up on longer tubes with more bounces.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is, and it does what it does, and you don't necessarily have any control over changing that. But it'd be interesting to know because if it becomes even more distinct, if you go down to 90% and the competitor goes down to 30%, that's even more interesting, right?
Right, yeah.
Now, if you go down to 50% and they go down to 48%, then it's not nearly as interesting. So
no, I would think that the ratio has to be the same because they're absorbed 2% of the time. So at 40 bounces, they're absorbed like 80%, so that'd be 20, right?
Yep. So here's what I'm thinking. What can we do to show really, really, really bright stuff? Okay? And I don't really know. I'm going to just kind of brainstorm it with you here a little bit. And if we wanted to put it into our advertising, do you guys do advertising?
Yes.
What kind of advertising? Mostly what?
Home shows.
Okay, that's not advertising. That's a home show. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's not advertising. Advertising would be an ad that appears either on TV or radio, in a magazine, in a mailbox. Do you do any of that kind of stuff?
Yep. Yes. Not a whole lot lately, but yeah, my bosses aren't necessarily there.
Okay, well, so if I was at a home show, so here's what I would do. If I was at a home show, I would find a way to dramatically show the brightness. So what do you do at a home show to dramatically show the brightness?
We don't.
What if you did this? Now, I've never done this before, and I have no idea if what I'm saying is smart or stupid, and I've been known to say stupid things, so just kind of go with me on this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm just Googling this. Spotlight rental. Now, I'm in Dallas, so I'm going to go to a Dallas company. No, I don't want one like that. I want the big, I got the wrong word here. I don't want spotlight rental. I want skylight rental. Searchlight. Gulf Coast balloons. Okay. No, I'm looking for the big honk. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, that thing right there. See that thing?
Yep. Yeah.
What if you brought this thing into your home show?
You think they'd let me?
I don't know. Crap, I don't know what they would let you do, but I think it would be interesting, and, I don't know how big it is, and, logistically and all that kind of stuff. All I know is this. If you took this thing in and you stuck it in the home show, or if all you could do is a bunch of these little ones, or maybe there's something in between that's half as big but not, quite as big, And you put that in there, and I'm sure these things are like 9,000 degrees, and I'm sure there's a whole litany of logistical challenges with this. But here's what I know. People would walk by, and they'd be like, holy freaking crap. Right?
Yeah.
And they'd go away, you know, I'm not going to say WTF because I don't use that kind of language, but that's what they'd say. They'd be like, what the heck, man? And you say, simple. 95% versus 64%. How bright do you want your skylight to be? We don't really care. It's up to you. Ours is like this, and then I'd have like this little, flashlight with 2 seed cells in it that were kind of dim. I'd say, here, which do you want?
I like
and they go, oh, it's obvious. And then you make a TV commercial where you take that spotlight and you go, hey, check this out. And you shine it right at the camera, and people kind of look away from the TV real quick. You're like, oh, crap, what was that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because, see, here's what we're not trying to do. And I don't know you. I don't know your company. I've never talked to you or met you before right now. So I don't want to speculate too much on how you do things or things that maybe need improvement. But I'm going to just go out on a limb here, okay?
Absolutely.
I'm going to go out on a limb that a certain amount of advertising and marketing effort is spent on saying to people, hey, wouldn't it be great if you had a skylight?
Yes.
As opposed to, hey, our skylights are better. And I think that's okay. Okay? But here's the problem with that. If you go out to people and you say, hey, wouldn't it be great to have a skylight? There's a lot of people that don't have skylight in their brain. And so when you say, hey, wouldn't it be great to have a skylight, they go, huh? And they immediately think what?
Nah, expensive. It's going to leak.
Well, I don't even know that they think it's going to leak. You know it's going to leak because you deal with it all the time. They probably don't even know that it's going to leak. They probably just look at it and go, 1970s, kind of cheesy, whatever, I'll turn on a lamp. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's dark in my house. I'll just turn on a lamp. And a lot of people that would potentially be open to the discussion, they don't ever engage in the message because they just automatically dismiss it as not something they're interested in. And
I agree with that.
What I'm saying is, what if we did something that really got their attention, like a skylight? So if guys walking by the home show and you shine this bad boy on them, how many lumens is this thing? Probably like 40 quadzillion lumens. And they're like, oh, wow, what is that? Well, it's a skylight. We've got the brightest skylights. It's a tube. It's not this big honking thing. It's this little thing, and here's how, kind of how it works. And we've got the brightest ones. There's a lot of different companies that sell this stuff, but I'm just telling you, theirs suck. Theirs is like this, and you hold up the little flashlight. Ours is like this. Have you ever thought about something like that before? Here, let's have a discussion about it. You go on TV, boom. You go on the radio. You say, well, I don't know if I can do that on the radio. I could do that on the radio. Huh?
The radio's a hard sell for me. I've tried radio. It's kind of hard.
Well, you know what's going to be a hard sell for you is anything that you, I made this conversation earlier in the call. I don't know if you were on that earlier when I was talking about the bank, and I said the bank's job is not to generate leads. I said the leads that are generated from the advertising. Were you on that part of the call?
Yes.
What did I call those leads that are generated? I called it a specific analogy. Remember?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
I said it was icing on the cake.
Thank you.
I said the cake, though, is all the leads that come in next week, next year, next month, that people start to understand, here's who you are, here's what you do, here's how you're different, here's how you're better. The problem with this whole philosophy is it takes time and it takes money and it takes investment. So a lot of times people will go to the radio, run something, it doesn't generate a ton of leads, and they quit. They'll go to the TV, run something, it doesn't generate a ton of leads, so they quit. They'll go to print, they'll run some ads, they don't get a lot of leads, and they'll quit. Then they'll go to the home show, and they'll say, oh, well, we got leads at the home show, so we're going to keep going there. Well, what they don't realize is that people that are going to home shows are already looking for stuff. People that are sitting on their sofa watching television or driving in their car listening to radio, they're not looking for a skylight. So we have to take a different approach. We have to take a different tack. We know that it's an investment. It's a nurturing situation. So what I would suggest in a situation like yours is to look at your entire marketing budget. And I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter what the dollar figure is, but let's pretend for a minute that it's $10,000 a month. That may be way too high for you, or that may be lower than you do. It doesn't matter. but let's just say, for hypothetically speaking, it was $10,000 a month. And what I would recommend is that you take 10 to 15 to 20% of that. So in that example, $1,000 to $2,000, and I would put it towards things that are exclusively designed to be nurturing over the long term, whether it's radio or whether it's television or something else. I don't really care. I tend to prefer TV and radio because you can speak to people with a lot more emotion and a lot more passion than you can in a print environment. But take that money and set it aside and start nurturing. Spend a little capital. Know that it's not going to necessarily come back right away. And what happens is, over time, people start seeing this, they start seeing this, they start seeing this. Remember the example of the bank? Who wants to switch their bank today? Anybody? I don't. Switching a bank is the largest single pain in the butt you could ever imagine. The only thing worse than changing your bank is moving your house. But you know what? If I'm reading the paper, if I'm seeing the television, or I'm listening to the radio, and I hear about the flags, and I hear about the football tickets, and I hear about the free copiers, and I hear about the art show this weekend, and I hear about the free soda and donuts and crackers and the Tooth Fairy, after a while, I start to go, crap, man, it sounds like a pretty cool bank. And guess what? Let me ask you this question. How many banks have you ever sat there and had this conscious thought? Wow, that sounds like a pretty cool bank. I don't know how old you are. You're a lady, so I won't ask you. I'm 44 years old. I tell you this right now. I have never had the conscious thought, wow, that sounds like a pretty cool bank. I've only ever had the thought of, oh, a bank. Who freaking cares? Right?
Right.
Same thing with skylights, same thing with all this stuff.
I'm the same age as you, by the way.
Huh?
I'm the same age as you, by the way.
Class of 1987?
86.
Oh,
45, I should say. I'm a little older.
Yeah, well, you're an old person. So the point is simple, right? The point is simple. We've got to find a way to bring things alive, to get people to take a look, to make people pay attention, to make it obvious that what we're saying is true. So I would look at this. I would say, okay, let's sit down and let's think of 10 different ways, 10 ways that we can do a demonstration of bright versus not bright. And then just think about it, okay? So here's one. One is a massive searchlight. That's pretty cool.
Right.
One is a massive bonfire versus a little fire. Now, your question to me is, well, okay, I hear you, but so what are you suggesting, right?
Have a big bonfire in the back of my house?
Well, I don't know. I'm suggesting this. What if you went out and built a big old freaking huge bonfire and you had a guy come out and video it? And then you put it on TV and you said, look, when you get a skylight from us, it's like this. When you get a skylight from our competitors, it's like this. And you show this little teeny fire and a guy with a little little wiener on a stick. Right?
Awesome.
Searchlight versus flashlight. Bonfire versus little fire. What about huge firework versus a snap pop? Those are some of the obvious ones. Now we're going to have to actually think about this for a minute. Okay, what about a big fat freaking laser that destroys stuff versus a little laser pointer that you shoot at the movie screen when you're a teenager trying to get someone to laugh at it?
But just a big light bulb, like one of those big floodlights versus a Christmas tree LED light.
Yeah, so you start doing this. Now, here's what I'm trying to say, okay? I want you to think through this for just a second with me. Because, if you're not careful, this can all just be kind of stupid stuff that doesn't really make much difference, right? But if you think about it strategically, you say, okay, well, what can we do with this stuff? We probably can't build a bonfire inside the home show. Maybe they won't let us bring this huge searchlight that's on your computer screen right now into the home show. Maybe they will. If they do, I'd do it, and I'd shine it straight up at the sky, and people from all over the whole exhibit hall would say, what the heck? What is that? They would be drawn to it like flies, literally, in the truest sense of the word. If not, maybe you get some handheld, really powerful searchlights like the police use, whatever. They're out there. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right, yep.
You've had the police chasing you before. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I know how people in Wisconsin are. I'm just kidding. My wife's from Wisconsin. I give it a hard time. but you can do this at the home show. But here's what you can do. You can create these videos, and you can make them into TV commercials. But if you're not on the TV, you can still make them into videos, and you can post them on YouTube. And you can then put them, you know, on your social media. They now draw, you know, interesting hits from search engine optimization, and it helps your web presence. And now they're on your website, and people can go look at those and just, you know, think in terms of interesting and unusual and relevant. But here's also what we're trying to do is make sure that they're making your point. So just some quick ideas for you. I mean, I don't know if those are great ideas or not, but they're free.
Free is always good.
Yeah, what company are you with?
Writer Concepts is the name of our company.
Writer Concepts. Okay. And your name is Gina Richards, right?
Gina Richardson. Although you'd never know that from my signature.
Yeah, I would never know that from your name on the webinar thing here. Okay, well, anyway, hopefully that helps. And I think that's all we got time for, so thanks for participating.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later. And for everybody else on the call, we'll be back in about 10 minutes for our Insiders Open Forum, and we'll go into whatever topics you want to talk about. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks. See ya. Bye now.